Shorty!
All right, and we are back. It is a big week for many reasons. We got Dark Shorty, and we got the 5'9" guy over here as well.
Lucky.
How tall are you, Shorty?
Thanks. I guess this episode's gonna get even darker because it's gonna make me more sad. I am 5'4",
5'4".
so a good ways below you. A good ways below you.
You know what though? In photos, you don't look that short.
Because my head looks average size, but it also because it's average size, but my body isn't. My head looks way too big for my body, so it looks bigger than what it really is. So, anyways, with that being said, uh yeah, I guess it's all about the angle. It's sponsored by OnlyFans. Just random topic there, but it's all about the angle. It makes things look bigger.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it can be deceiving until even for me, I wouldn't obviously I'm still considered a short guy compared to a lot of people I know. And you don't really see my height until I stand beside like someone like my brother-in-law who's probably 6'1", 6'2", and I'm like, yeah, shit, I'm kind of short here, and I don't know. So I don't know. Like I guess it looks can be deceiving for sure. But anyway, man, how are you doing?
I'm good. Luckily, I hang around with a bunch of Mexicans that aren't that tall, and most of the guys I hang out with, Mike, Lazy Boy, Ahmed, the camera guy, we're all kind of like give or take around the same size, like 5'4" to 5'6" ish, give or take. So it's been very nice. But overall, man, I'm good. A little tired because I've been, training for a few months, thinking I was gonna fight in August, September, and
Mm-hmm.
then we made the random decision to go. You know what? I'm gonna drop down to flyweight. So trying to get skinnier and trying to get more lean, but coincidentally, Lazy Boy fights this weekend at the Spear, and he's cutting down as well. So
Yeah.
not just to train for myself, but I'm also usually his body. Whether it comes to sparring, whether it comes to jiu-jitsu, wrestling, anything, just to hit. Sometimes I'm his body. So I've been training for sure twice a day for myself, but then also sometimes 3 to 4 times a day helping Lazy for his more specific type workouts because I'm also trying to stay in shape for whenever my next fight may be. It might be in December, but I still want to lean out and use the all the practices and take advantage of all of them so I can hopefully go down a little faster. But what the fact is, it's exhausting, dude. Like I'm tired, and it's funny because Lazy Boy now this week it's weight cut week, so he doesn't really need me. I'm just the body. So right now he's just doing mitt work, he's doing sauna stuff, he's doing things that are just as minimum minimum effort as possible just to, get the weight down and focus on that and not have a chance of possibly being injured, which is phenomenal. So me, I'm also not getting punched in the face, so or twice as much at least, so it's nice.
Yeah, and two things. I'll ask the first one. So I watched your thing, like your interview with a Fight Bananas, and I know you were talking about the cut down to flyweight. So was that your decision, or do you have some kind of? I know you talked about the possibly fighting in December finally, and did Brave talk to you say you might be fighting at like we want you to fight down, or like you want to fight down there and you kind of want to meet them in the middle, or what's going on there?
No, I mean it's 100% my decision. I mean they're 100% for it just because I am a small guy. They believe I'm better suited at flyweight, anyways. As the UFC said for Lazy Boy, they're like, hey, you're a good bantamweight, but we don't want you at bantamweight. If we're gonna use you, we're gonna use you at flyweight. And then he made that huge cut. For me, I saw Lazy make the cut the first time, and I was like, dude, this is why I'm not doing it. And then the second time, now that's happening, he's just so motivated and because it's like when you hang around with positive energy, you can't help but be positive. When you hang around with somebody who's sad, yeah, man, why am I so sad? It's probably your crew or the music you listen to, whatever the case may be, the mood that's always around. And he's so naturally motivating where he's like, dude, no offense, like if I can make flyweight because he weighs about 160, if not, I think he got up to like 170, if not even 180. In between these two fights, and now he's going back down the flyweight. I'm just like, dude, you're the Mexican Patty Pimblett. Like you win hard. And so for me, I'm looking at him. I was like, man, I honestly, you're motivating me to go back down. I know if he could do it, I can do it. So for me, because I've lost to Nkosi twice, technically the bantamweight champion for Brave, I was like, man, I know obviously I won't get a title shot anytime soon. For me, I only want to fight big names or high record guys, so I might as well cut back down and maybe Brave does something where I get to fight Muhammad Mokaev. Coincidentally, he ended up before I made the decision to cut down the flyweight, or excuse me, after I made the decision to come out to flyweight, Mokaev signed with Brave. So I was already going to go down there anyways. Mokaev's just a great incentive, but him being there, some other guys that used to be signed, maybe they'll come back. I don't know. Ali Bagutinov is a fight that I've always wanted still. Marcel Dur, which I saw coincidentally not too long ago, that I was slated to fight for the title a few years back when my father passed away. I didn't fight him, but I know I was supposed to fight him. Like, if he's back in the promotion, that'd be amazing. And whoever else, So maybe a rematch with Shorty Rock, Sean Santella. It's because we went to a draw. Like, I just want exciting, fun fights for me, and flyweight technically is where it's going to be. I'm not excited for it. I'm not happy about it. I'm very disappointed in the decision I made for myself, but because it does involve a lot of pain, a lot of commitment, and a lot of effort. I remember cutting down the flyweight was very, I guess, dark shorty. A dark time because, dude, it sucks. Like, it really, really sucks. You can't enjoy life to the fullest when you're just literally stuck in a bubble, or you have no energy, or you're moody, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So I'm not excited for it, but I'm also 32, and I feel like I can get more fights in Brave at both flyweight and bantamweight. Just keep on having fun from there. So if I can stay lean, and I think I'm a lot more disciplined now to do so, that I think I'd be able to could be a little more active at both weight classes, and maybe one day be a double weight class champ again, as I used to be in Titan.
Yeah, and I did want to get to the second question, but now you're bringing me back to you on the subject here. Now there is talks that Nkosi would make a jump up, which I think he should. I mean, the guy's massive
Mhm.
in weight class, so obviously you're going to try to go at flyweight. I think would you say that there's the opportunity you go at flyweight and say you do get the belt there, and then say Nkosi's up there, so now you don't like. I'm not saying that you wouldn't go for another shot at the title if opportunity was there, but if he's going up there and they put someone else in the spot, I can't imagine that they may give you a shot, especially if you get a couple fights and a couple wins at flyweight, that they would put you up at bantamweight. Is that
Um,
kind of like, is that something that you kind of see happening?
I mean, I would love to fight in Kosi 100 times. I don't care as long as I'm getting paid and it's for a title, even better.
Yeah.
And for me, I won the first fight, I lost the second fight, and I thought I won the third fight. It is what it is. So for me, I know I have that possibility of winning, or at least making it a close. Like, all three fights were close until the second one I got cut, and that was it.
Yeah.
So for me, I know I can compete at bantamweight. I'm not worried about that, even with his giant stature. Dude, and he is really, really tall. But the
Yeah.
fact is, I believe he should bump up, and if he's able to become a double A class champ, like, dude, that's the name that you want to have. But we'll see what happens. For me, I just want to compete with some of the best in the world, and hopefully that's back at flyweight and in the most healthy way possible. Because now we also got to think about when I made flyweight last a few years ago. Like, I was kind of entering my prime. Now, like, and you understand, like, I'm 32 years old. I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm not a young adult. Like, I'm a full grown man, so I have
Yeah.
grown man strength. And I can tell you, talking to a couple of dietitians and nutritionists, that they're like, dude, we're not excited for you. You can make weight, but we don't want you to be a TJ Dillashaw, being able to make weight, super lean, super ripped, but you can't compete at your best because you're just not yourself. You're maybe lacking the muscle you used to have, or you're not as healthy, or whatever, or you can't take a shot. So whatever the case
Hmm.
may be. So that's why I'm trying to start as early as possible. So in December, if my fight's at flyweight, awesome. If it's at bantamweight, awesome. I was hoping to fight in August, September at bantamweight to kind of use that as a catapult to go down a little bit faster. It's a nice transition, but it is what it is, and I gotta, take it from a bigger of a weight cut. But yeah, man, I think Nkosi should bump up inevitably. just because it's healthier for him. But hey, if he can do it, and he's younger than I am. He hasn't reached that grown man prime strength that I believe he's
Yeah.
gonna be one day. So um, when he gets to that point, it's gonna be a lot more difficult. And that's what it was for me. I was getting injured and doing all these things. So I think him bumping up is great. And if he bumps up and the bantamweight championship is available after I win the flyweight, awesome. And if he's still there, like if Brave's cool with it, dude, I'll fight him again. I don't care. So I'm just trying to create history for myself again and grow my legacy.
Yeah, yeah. And now that I wanted to bring up you talked about you've been preparing with or excuse me, you've been helping Ronaldo prepare for his
Hmm.
upcoming fight. Um with that being said, obviously you talk about him kind of weight, and obviously you're watching him, and I know he's it's hard and everything, but in terms of the preparation, what's probably the biggest thing that you've seen that he's done that he's just grown in his game?
Man, the one thing, I mean, we've been rolling so much more in the house because we have a garage that's humid as hell. So we're like, oh,
Yeah.
let's take advantage of it where it's humid. We don't have to work as hard. We sweat a lot faster, a lot sooner, and then from there we can just keep on moving. Being able to work one on one with him because I'm more of his grappling coach than anything, and transitioning, becoming a full role, well-rounded MMA fighter instead of for him just a boxer, or eventually going on the ground just a jiu-jitsu grappler. We're mixing it up. He's transitioning really, really well, and he's now like, I mean, he took my advice last fight, and he was able to get the win. And I'm happy about it because I was on the ground. And that's what I showed. So I was like, yeah. But he's listening a lot more. I think the first camp he was very focused on the weight cut and very in tune to himself, and that's fine. Again,
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. But we're like, dude, you need to slowly start taking advice. You have to. That's what we're here for. Mike is from Mexico as well, and he's here away from his family, away from his friends, away from other job opportunities. He's away from his land. Me, I could have just gone home. I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here with you. So take some advice. You can take it with a grain of salt, but take the recommendation and go from there. We're not gonna try to steer you wrong. We're not here for your money or your fame. We're here to help you because we were helping you before you became 500,000 follower famous or whatever the case may be. So he's now really opening up to us and going, cool, like this is what I probably should do. And I think one of the funniest things is he works so damn hard, he forgets that he needs to rest. And we're like, dude, yeah, it's okay. Like you're tired, and you're clearly tired. Physically, we see it walking around. Like, go on, dude, go upstairs, take a nap. And he's like, no, I'll be fine. We're like, dude, shut up, go take a nap. And then, if he doesn't take a nap, he's like, in practice. And we're like, see, like this is the example. And then he goes upstairs, like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm gonna go upstairs and take a nap. So he's learning to rest a little bit more, and I think that's helped him a lot especially when it comes to this weight cut.
And I think it also shows, I think it shows building of character and just as a fighter. I mean, I think some people who might not understand the fighter life or understanding what it's like to build yourself up as a fighter is everyone thinks, oh, you just improve your skills, which is great, and a lot of people do. And I think it's never good to ever plateau. But
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people forget about the the growing as the little things like you just mentioned, just the little things like listening to your coach more, or just in general, like just building upon the skill, like just building upon yourself and learning to trust in your coaches and buying into what your coaches are telling you. I think it can be difficult, especially when you don't sometimes you just don't believe it yourself, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, it's I can tell you from prime example from my personal experience. Like when I was in college, cutting down to 125 every single weekend, and given I was a jackass, I probably could have, you know, been a lot more disciplined. But the fact was, I was also still a growing boy that was slowly becoming an adult. So
Yeah.
even though my first 2 years were at 125, my third year I was like, wow, this is really starting to suck. Like, wow, this is getting very difficult. Fourth year, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was trying
Yeah.
my best to bump up, was never given the opportunity. Fifth year, because I was a red shirt, um, a fifth year came in and all he did was argue. I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. Like, it's just not healthy for me. Last year kind of showed that. And even if I am more disciplined, my body's bigger. So sometimes my body's literally telling me, like, dude, you can't do this. and I was forcing myself to do it. Now, when I went pro, my first 2 fights were at 135. I hired a nutritionist, was super lean, super healthy. And then when I got to, tighten the opportunity to go down to flyweight, I was like, "Yeah, I don't wanna do it." And my nutritionist was like, "Dude, you can do it. You just have to listen. Like, do you trust me? We already worked twice at bantamweight. You made it the easiest you've ever made it. And now we don't again, this ain't wrestling. We don't have a week to do it. We have a couple months. Like, let's figure it out." And I'm like, "Oh, all right," and I listened down to a T and I made weight down. I wasn't happy, it wasn't fun, it wasn't easy, but as long as I listened, I made things more productive. So lazy's in that process of like, I can do it myself, but wait, I have a team I could trust and listen to, even and they see and some of us, like myself, at least with him at 25, have more experience at the weight class where it's like, hey, yeah, you're gonna get bigger. You're gonna get thicker. This is what's gonna happen. But don't
Yeah.
worry, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna move from there. Then having Eric Pena and all these different guys that are smarter than me when it comes to the diet and nutrition, like they make sure he takes his rest. They make sure he drinks his water. They make sure like it's almost like a real professional athlete like NFL or MLB players and making
Yeah.
sure that they're 100% good. Because if they're not, dude, that team's losing $1 million+. So it's that lazy boy is doing his thing. He has a good team behind him. Like honestly, I'm very envious of him in many factors, but he's motivating me enough to where it's like, dude, like the way I look at it is like I know if I cut down the flyweight, I can have the same type of success as he has. Like it's a phenomenal thing, but it's gonna take commitment and effort, and that's why I'm doing it because if Lazy can do it in my head competitively, I can do it too.
Yeah, yeah. Now, just time it here, commercial break. Are you when you watch yourself on the screen, are you choppy at all? Like, are you freezing by any means?
Am I freezing at a dude?
Yeah.
It's perfectly clear on my side.
Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just seeing things. You're just like freezing the whole time, but I'm really hoping the recording it doesn't do that. So,
Yeah,
we're under.
let
eh,
me go ahead,
I
go
can
ahead.
still
Keep
hear. No, no, no. No, you're good. You're good. I'm okay. Hold on. I'll let you get back on here.
sorry, I'm trying something fun.
All right.
Is that better?
That's awesome. No, that's great. That's great. Um, yeah, I'll edit that all out.
My
Um,
apologies.
anyway, time. We're back. Okay, so yeah, man. Yeah. Talking about Ronaldo, I think he's got a good opponent ahead of him. Odie Osborne is he's kind of that guy, and I've watched some of his fights, and in most of his fights, either he's won or he's lost by finish. So I think he's got a good test ahead of him. When you look at when you look at his matchup, how do you? I mean, without being biased, how do you kind of see his matchup kind of going in without talking about the game plan?
Well, I know because of Extreme Couture, everyone kind of cross trains and has fun. I wasn't there, but the story is that Lazy Boy and Ode have trained and sparred before, given just like a
Okay.
round, and Lazy Boy did very well. And because of Lazy's pressure, when I again, I'm very stereotypical, especially when it comes to MMA. Like Mexican fighters, dude, we don't care at all. Like we want to fight, And Lazy Boy, doesn't matter if it's Patchy, doesn't matter if it's Francis Ngannou, doesn't matter if it's Sean Strickland. Like he's trying to knock your head off. That's just how he spars for the most part. So it could have been different for Ode, but from what I hear from Lazy Boy is like he pushed Ode back multiple times, and it was a battle that Ode didn't want to fight. Now, I can completely understand that, especially when it comes to sparring. But then also maybe technically, Lazy Boy was better. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But the fact is, in this fight, and again, the whole TA Dillashaw Cody Garbrandt thing, Cody was always the more dominant one in practice, but TJ won
Yeah.
both fights. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter until you get inside the cage and those lights. The fact is, we think Ode is very quick, very elusive, and if he does try to strike with Lazy, it's gonna be like pop shots, like one or two, he's gonna get out. I know for fact, or I guess we'll find out that he can't handle that type of pressure because not many people can handle that type of aggressive pressure. And I can tell you for personal experience, not just with Lazy's boy, his pressure, but he hits really, really hard for a small guy. It is fucking ridiculous how hard Lazy Boy hits
Yeah.
for a flyweight. So you don't want to stand in front of that anyways, especially with 4-ounce gloves. I do this with boxing sometimes with him, and I'm just like, oh, I'm glad I blocked that. But can Ode be elusive? And I think that's something that he's going to try his best to be, is kind of be his back against the fence, moving around, circling the outskirts of the cage, and he's gonna have to try stuff that's explosive, but he's always gonna be on his heels. So I think if he does try to get the finish, it's gonna be something random, flying knees, elbows, explosive pops in, pop ins, and then getting out. And honestly, I know he's been training with some high level jiu-jitsu guys. I think he's also been training with Aljamain Sterling. So we can see him trying to take Lazy Boy down to the ground and make it a grappling battle. And for me, I've been training with, both Mike and I, who's a black belt jiu-jitsu as well. Both him and I have been training with Lazy Boy a huge number of times, ridiculous, that like I just don't see anybody at the 125-pound level um that isn't a black belt tapping,
And that,
Lazy out.
yeah. And that's it, and it seems like everybody's kinda has the black belt now. You don't have a select few that you could
Mhm.
talk about. At one time, you had a select few that you could say they're a black belt jiu-jitsu, Jesus, I can't talk.
It's okay.
Jiu-jitsu, ex like, you had, like, particular people that were graded in everything, and then now it's like everybody's got a black belt. Everybody's got a black belt in some kind of degree of martial arts, and
Unless you're
that's
Dagestani, it doesn't matter. Blood belts
yeah,
don't matter.
yeah, that does not matter. You're, completely on a different you're not on Earth,
Mhm,
if you're from Dagestan, and yeah, and I think that's one thing that people have to realize, and that's just the growth that I think the sport has gone into. You know, you can't get away with just being a striker. I mean, you can be a very, very good striker, you can be a very, very good wrestler, but you got to know your stand up or you got to know your ground, vice versa. Um, yeah, it's crazy. But you know what really surprises me though is the people who are known to be like a wrestler, and then you watch them strike their whole career, and it's like, when are we gonna see you wrestle, man? Like you just
mhm.
don't see it, and it's kind of interesting how that works, you know?
But you look at Justin Gaethje, a high level
Yeah,
wrestler, All American, goes in there, he strikes, and he's knocking people out with calf kicks. Like
yeah,
he's just a guy that, and I get it because when I entered the UFC, my post fight speech after my first bout that I won, I was just like, dude, I'm a miniature Justin Gaethje. Like, I don't want to wrestle. I can, and that's fine. But I want to strike. For me, man to man combat is with your hands. Like, yes, I know it's MMA. Yes, I know it's jiu-jitsu, but I want to make this sport exciting, especially at the time for the flyweights. Like, dude, I want to strike and bang. I want to see knockouts at the lighter level, at the lighter guys. So
yeah.
for me, everyone now, and I was actually talking about this with a friend, is we're in what, the third, fourth generation of MMA, where in the
Pretty
beginning
much.
it was style versus style, and then with like the Matt Hughes era, it was, you have two styles. Maybe you're a boxer grappler, or
Yeah,
you're whatever the case may be. And then now it's like everyone does MMA, everyone does jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and given they know they're good at everything, might not be great at everything, but they're good at everything. And so it's like, are you better than his Muay Thai style? Can you mix it up with this? Can you mix it up with that? It becomes very difficult.
yeah,
And now you look at Mohammed Mokaev, where dude, or him and Uzman Nurmagomedov, like there's no reason a Dagestani grappler, a high level one too, should be outstriking Corey Sandhagen. That shows how much the sport has developed, not
yeah.
just in MMA, but like in different countries. In Dagestan and Russia, Dagestan, and in the UK and the US, Brazil, they're doing everything. They're not just Brazilians only do jiu-jitsu. It's Muay Thai jiu-jitsu, and now some of them are really good boxers and this and that. So it's a fun mixture of stuff.
And you know what too, to add on that is what I'm really fascinated about is not just in what you just said, but also the way people have used game plans differently.
Mhm,
Like whether I mean it's nothing new how wrestlers might use strategies to set up their takedowns, but it's how fighters are doing it now and how they're implementing game plans now. And like for the longest time, and I know Joe Rogan, he obsesses about it, but he talks about how, like, for the longest time, calf kicks were always available, but no one threw them. And
mhm,
now everybody's doing it because you realize how it shuts someone's leg down. You only can take so much, and it shuts your leg down. And I've eaten like 4 or 5 in a row, and I can't handle it.
mhm.
But like, that being said, like it's crazy how different fighters now are using. It's crazy how you look at the matchup. Like I was looking at the one at the Sphere. I think it's Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez, and you look at that matchup, and there's obvious things that you can see that are happening, but you're gonna watch that fight and realize like I just didn't see that happening the way it had or the way it was going to go. And it's crazy how the game plans have changed so much and how fighters have gotten smarter. And you just seen that's the development of MMA fighters and just fighters in general. It's crazy.
Yeah, everyone's mixing it up. I mean, the calf kicks, and everyone's like, "Oh, Dustin Poirier started it, or Justin Gaethje, or whatever freaking guy at a different weight class." Everyone always does something different. When Khabib was in, people weren't smashing people. That was Khabib's style. Now everyone's like, Khabib him, and now they're taking him down and try to
Yeah.
face crank people. Face cranks weren't really a thing. Khabib
No.
pretty much kind of started that. So there's a lot of different things that people add that little sprinkle, and you're just like, oh yeah, dude, we could have done this the whole time. Or what was that one? There was a body kick. Some person was it was a female fight where the girl's on the ground. Instead of throwing up kicks to her head, she swung her heel to the girl's body and she collapsed because of how like
Yeah.
good it was. Like it was a liver shot, pretty much.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Yeah, I don't know why no one ever kicks to the body when they're on the ground." I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious!" Or BJ Penn with Kenny Florian when they took his back and he started like throwing the heels to the tummy, and Kenny's like, "Dude, stop! Kicking me out of nowhere." BJ was able to sink in that rear naked choke. It's always those little things that you've been able to do this whole time. It's just somebody has that little sprinkle of salt and it adapts and it evolves. So it's a cool thing that there's always going to be something, especially in the mixed martial arts world, because our rules, dude, we can do anything. Hell, I think soon the 12 to 6 elbows are going to be legal. So,
Yeah, I think
like,
so.
that's going to
Yeah.
mix up a lot of stuff too.
Oh my god, yeah. And you know what, the one of the craziest, and I know we were kind of going on about styles and whatnot, but like, and you've seen a lot more different. Like, I think all the jiu-jitsu's always been there, and there's been different uh submissions that can be done, and I think all submissions can be done, but you only see so many repeated so many times, especially rear naked choke, one of the most common ones that people throw, just because I mean it's always available. When someone turtles, they get hurt, they turtle, and it's available. But one of the craziest submission I ever saw, it was the beat Megna Shipnapov, and it was I can't remember the fellow that he fought, but he had the banana splits submission, and I've never seen anybody put that. I know what it is, but
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone actually implement it in the fight, and it was amazing. Mind you, it was available because of his size and the length, but I just never seen anything like it. It was that guy Zabit. I'm so sad that that guy left.
Yeah. I think Patchy Mix ended up getting the same submission in Bellator not too
Oh
like
yeah,
far after
maybe
that.
he did. Yeah,
And dude, the submissions, they're there. It's just some people don't try it. Hell, look at the DJ doing the flying armbar, or the suplex on armbar. Like, dude, we do that in practice because
yeah,
it's funny. Like, it's just something like, screw it, we'll try it. DJ's like, you know what? And this is before he was a black belt. He was like, I'll try it. I'm really beating this guy up. I might as well. Like, it's not going to
yeah.
change the fact. And he did it and ended up winning his fight because of it. Like, it's super memorable. Like, that's his biggest highlight. So it is, or I believe at least it is. So it's a crazy thing how, again, you can just have fun, mix it up, and as long as you're comfortable enough, like, it's your style, and you put it out there, and hopefully it inspires somebody else, and they just kind of grow and adapt the game from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And I wanted to talk a little bit about UFC 306. So we got a lot
Hmm.
of great fights. It's obviously going to be a great big night for the Mexicans and Latino fighters. Uh, have you taken a look at the card? Do you know like kind of a gist of who's fighting, what's going on there?
Honestly, not too much. I'm pretty sure once I see the car, I'm like, oh
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, I forgot they're on there.
Yeah,
But obviously, I've been putting a lot of focus on Lazy Boy, and it is
of course.
also phenomenal that his second fight in the UFC, he's now on a pay per view main card, which is going to be one of the biggest cards of the year, if not for sure the biggest card
Yeah,
in person. Um, so it's going to be a super super cool thing. Actually, funny kind of side note is we ran into Canelo today because he's training
yeah.
for
I
his
saw
fight
that.
on
Yeah, that
Saturday
was
as well.
awesome.
And he trained at Capatillo's boxing gym, which we were at. I was training with Brandon Moreno earlier, so him and I were sparring, getting him ready for his fight. And Lazy Boy's like, oh, cool, I'm gonna be in the background, do my own little thing, and just cut weight. And he's doing that, and then Canelo just walks in, and we're like, oh, what's up, man? And he's like one of the most friendliest guys. Like he's super, super friendly, super nice, and already close to weight. He was there cutting weight, and it was cool, man. But Lazy is technically his event at least is competing with Canelo's event because they're the same time, the same night. So you have
Oh, okay.
two, Mexican cards, and Canelo being the superstar, but you have a stacked UFC card of a bunch of different Mexicans, main eventing or at least being on the main card against Canelo for boxing, and it's like, what does the who do the people want to see? Do they want to see Canelo or the UFC? And dude, it was a cool thing, and it's funny because Lazy Boy's like, dude, I'm gonna knock out my guy, and then I'm gonna run over to the T-Mobile Arena and then go watch your fight. Canelo's like, yeah, I'll give you guys all like backstage tickets if you want to go. And we're just like, all right, Lazy Boy, you need to finish this in the first round, so we make sure we're there on time. So it is a really really cool thing that all the Mexican people stick together too. But you have two phenomenal cards. I think even Peso Pluma, one of like the biggest Mexican stars or musicians,
Yeah.
is going to be performing that same day too. So it's like it's a crazy crazy time to be in Vegas right now.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what though? That you just have to say, yeah, like you said, with the lazy boy, just be like, don't sweat, don't get hurt, don't get cut, no blood. Get the guy out in the first round. Do your little speech with Joe Rogan, and then get the fuck get
Yeah,
out. Yeah, let's go. Get changed. We're going. And actually, and on that subject, I want to ask you. So you corner a couple guys in the UFC. Um, that being said, I know when you walk out, you wear like whatever the at
yeah,
least you wear
they're fit.
their fit, and then you got their name on the back. So I gotta ask, do you get to keep all that? Because hey, who doesn't like free clothing?
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things that the UFC started, and then other promotions are like, all right, your team has to walk out with this fight kit, stuff like that. So it becomes very individualized for that promotion. Um, yeah, man, we get to keep all the stuff, and it is cool. Um, I personally don't really use it. I just kind of like save it on the side. I'm like, oh, memories up. Well, that was nice, But the UFC gives a crap ton of clothes,
As they should.
and so like every time you're cornering or you're fighting, you get like a bag, you get slippers, you get a t-shirt, you get shorts, you get a hoodie, you get socks, you get all these random different things. If you're a fighter, you get the underwear. You're a woman, you get the sports bra as well. You get pretty much everything that comes with it. It says UFC or whatever brand that's with them right now. It's Venom. So like
Yeah.
after so long, I'm like, oh, I got this shirt. Anybody want this? Who's a medium? Hey, I got this bag. I don't need it. Anybody want this? Because it's free and it's nice stuff. So it's always nice to get free things. Um, but it's always cool, especially when it says, your guy's, name on it. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, no, I quoted him. So it's a
Yeah.
fun time, man. And that's the Spear event where I know the UFC kind of released their. I don't know if they have done an embedded, but they released kind of like the documentary leading up to UFC Noche, and it's showing the inside the spear where the cage is going to be, stuff like that. So this is going to be. I think Dana's saying it's a one-time event. I don't know if it's a one-time a year event or just a one-time event in general, but this is a huge gamble for the UFC or a big investment, should I say, of like, you know what, we're gonna make this huge, and it's at the spear. We're gonna have some fun with it, and it's the cage is not in the middle. It's like a theater. It's all the way at the end. So we're even as coaches and just spectators, we don't know how it looks inside for the most part. So we're just excited to see how. Like I think at a regular event at the spear, you can't have your phone. So like because they
Really?
that's how exclusive it is. They don't want to show you the inside. It's
Okay.
just so
The
it is a crazy thing.
So I understand. I know what the sphere is all about. I get the spectacle of what it is. The one thing I don't, and I maybe have to watch it embedded. So
Mhm.
before I might make a stupid comment here, but uh, I understand with the big screen and everything. One thing I before I even watched the embedded, what I was worried about is they have the cage, or excuse me, the octagon, and they get the whole screen. One thing I'm worried about are they gonna put like the fight on the screen while the fight's happening? That's what I'm worried about. I really hope they do that because I feel like that'd be way too distracting. I can't imagine they'd be stupid enough to do that, but we will see. I mean, I think it obviously when you're cornering the guy, you're watching what you're watching up out of the cage, so you don't have to worry about that. But for the fans, I wonder because like you said, this is a big gamble. They're putting a lot of money into this, and this is one time event. They got to see how it's gonna run. And I know Dana White says that this is just a one time event, but I think I can almost guarantee you if this is very successful, he'll go back to after the like when he does his post fight press conference, he's gonna be like, no, we're coming back. Like I know Dana White's done it before, and he says stuff, and then sure enough, they come back and do whatever. So, um,
It's
I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do. Yeah,
it's so much money to even test it, testing the event because they have to rehearse, all that stuff. And they have to rehearse it multiple times, weeks in advance. And they're saying
yeah,
it's like $1 million just to like rehearse it once because they need everything to work. The whole inside is like
yeah,
it's a projector pretty much. So or the whole inside is pretty much TV. So it is cool. I think it's for sure going to be an experience. I don't know how it's going to be for the fighters in general because, see, when this is my again, I just 100% assuming, and from personal experience of being in the UFC, when you are coming out to fight, the lights are on you, the crowd is everywhere, the cage is in the middle or the octagon's in the middle, and then you have the lights right on top that shine down on you, and everything is the focus in the middle, So you're like, all right, cool, I'm good. Now the whole inside of the spear is a TV. So is it going to be one color? Is it going to be multiple different things moving, like the outside of the spear, where it's just random like gifts or random just whatever things going on? Is it going to show, like you said, the fights while the fights are happening in multiple different facets? Is it going to not have anything to? Because any little thing, dude, I'm ADHD as hell. Any little thing, even when I'm on top of somebody or even on the bottom, of like, ooh, what is that? Like I'm the dog from Up. I'm like, ooh, squirrel. So how distracting is it going to be? That's honestly my biggest thing of like how is that gonna work? Also, the hardest part about, and this is why the tickets were so expensive, not just because of how much it costs to run the spear for an event, but it's also limited seating. The T-Mobile Arena gets way more seats,
oh
but
yeah,
the spear is a more exclusive type of thing. So that's why the tickets are obviously so much, and now they're dropping. And I think they're going to drop for sure a lot more 2 or 3 days before, just in case to be able to really fill this place up. But I don't know. I think it's just more of a fun thing right now. And like you said, if it goes well and they're able to sell these tickets and make it a full house and they get good feedback from the pay per view, then you know what, maybe they won't lose as much money as what they thought and they'll do it again. But I can see the UFC losing money on this event, especially because of ticket sales. And I think the ticket sales are just to pay for the the spear itself for that night or however many hours that they're using it for.
yeah.
But um, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm really more wondering how it's gonna be for the fighters. Because dude, even in the corner, sometimes like at Lazy Boy's last fight, like I'm focused on him, and then I'm like, yeah, did that guy just drop his beer? Like any little thing, So
Yeah,
I can just imagine where
it's
you
like, hold on,
have
buddy. I gotta see
this
what's going on in the crowd.
this gigantic TV, happening,
Yeah,
like, and there could be multiple different screens. So
yeah,
I don't know how it's going to play. Is it going to be one color? Is it going to be things moving in the background? Is it going to be distracting to the fighters? And I think that is the biggest question.
yeah, for sure. Now, talking about a couple of the fights, definitely there was the big one with the trilogy, Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. That's that's a very high skilled, balanced fight. Alexa Grasso, I think with Valentina Shevchenko, I don't know if the first fight it was just a fight where a little bit
Sorry,
of
they're showing me. Uh, I won't say who, but because we're on this and we can post it. But somebody, and they're getting me back. Somebody was doing an interview back here, and there's a screen door, and I decided to walk up and put my butt cheeks on the window and go like, "What's up?" And they were just laughing, and I kind of like I cut off their interview. So one of the guys pretty much did the same thing while Lazy Boy is filming, and it's just like, I was just like, so sorry. Correction. Go ahead.
oh bastards. No, I'm just kidding there. No, but yeah, no, a big fight, a huge fight with Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. This is gonna be the trilogy. I think when we look at this fight, this is such a high skilled, balanced, very skill balanced fight. I think both girls are really good. Alexa Grasso, it's interesting because I think, like, I wasn't overly like, she's always been really good. Her box has been phenomenal, and I think she's been a great fighter. But I didn't see her being that champ material early on. But she really had to work hard and grow, and she's really become what she was determined to be. I just think this has been a style where Valentina she was taken over everybody at one time, and I think she's just met her maker, and I think she's really met someone who's that got the style that makes the fight. And this is really going to be a tough fight for both ladies. I mean, there's a lot on the line. This is a trilogy, and I think for Valentina, if she loses this is going to be her. This could be her last dance. I'm not saying she's going to retire, but she's been on the top for so long. This is her third fight. She would have to fight 3 or 4 more times. I think she's 36 years old. This is uh this is a very big tough fight, but I think from results from the last fight, and I know Valentina, I think she's very good. I think she's got a lot of sportsmanship. She's just very passionate about winning and very passionate. I think she felt cheated in her last fight, and I personally thought that she probably did edge out the win in the second fight. So she was talking about how she really wants to finish. So you can really see her mindset, which can be, I would say, dangerous, because is she could be too focused on trying to get that finish? So is she going to take risks, or is it
Mm,
just show how much tough, or how mentally tough, and how much she's really preparing for the matchup? So you can look at it both ways, and and you can look at it both ways. And I definitely I like the matchup, and I don't care who wins. This is a great fight. I think it's gonna be a great fight. The ladies could steal the fight of the night.
I mean, it's a phenomenal fight. I think Grasso obviously being younger, entering her prime, stuff like that. She's
Yeah,
a phenomenal fighter. I don't think she's as versatile as Shevchenko, um, and at dominant being as versatile she is. But Grasso is really, really good at her stuff. You see how fast she jumps into submissions
yeah,
when they're available, and how great and fast her hands are at boxing. And I think her youthfulness and energetic, personality help in that type of fighting style against
yeah,
Shevchenko, who again can mix it up, but if you're getting pieced by some hands, dude, it's really hard to throw up kicks, which Valentina Shevchenko is really, really known for.
yeah,
So I think this one's probably going to be the most technical fight by both. I
yeah,
don't know if it goes to a finish, just because they also both know like this is a very important fight. They've already fought each other twice. So again, I'm using the Nkosi and the Bele and I example where it's like I know how good you are. If I couldn't finish you the first time, I'm not saying I couldn't finish you the second time, but dude, this is gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough. And now it's like sparring with your usual training partner. Like you guys know
hmm,
what you do to each other every single day. Can one slowly, up the other a little bit, and it's hard because it's literally those smallest little improvements that can make a huge difference. But can they do it? Because they're both, obviously they've had their game plans change, they've had their fight camp manipulated a little bit to go, cool, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I think it's going to be a 5 round fight, but it's going to be a very, very technical one. I just hope it's not a slow pace one. That's the biggest fear when you have two people who, sorry, the damn fire alarm's going on in the house because the garage, the humidity, they open up the garage door and it hits the AC and it creates
oh
steam,
yeah,
and then it hits
okay,
and so now the fire alarm's going off. But I think it's going to be a close fight. I just hope it's a very active one instead of like, oh, if I do
yeah,
this, she can jump on,
uh,
submission, or if I
yeah.
give Shevchenko space, she can kick me and do this. It's like, we need to figure it out.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to see is has a lot of hesitation. When you get in the first round of a really big fight, whether it's a trilogy or it's just a big fight where both guys are dangerous or both ladies are really dangerous, which they are. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes you see that first round where there's a lot of hesitation. You might see a couple leg kicks. And you just hearing the crowd start booing, and I hate that, man. Like I mean, I get it from a crowd perspective. You want to see people you want to have that you got that one guy the crowd that just has like painted on him just bleed and he's like freaking the fuck out. But like, and I get that, but like I hate when you start hearing boons because like you don't get like you get the drunk fans that don't get it and I just like I don't know if there's gonna be that or both ladies they know each other they see what's up and I hope that that it'll be slow paced and they'll slowly get into the fight but I think it's still gonna be a great fight and like you said I think it will be a more technical fight and then that brings me also to that main event with Sean O'Malley and Merab Devasheli. I honestly, man, I don't want to talk about too much about this fight because really, I just see Sean O'Malley beating him in the first round. I think he's gonna
Mhm.
knock him out in the first round. And the only reason why I think about that is just the way Marab, he very recklessly, the way he charges in, he gets clipped a lot, and someone who's really sharp like Sean O'Malley is he's sharp and he hits good or he hits hard and I just think that he's going to clip him. I think he's going to see a first round knockout. Honestly, that's all I
Yeah,
got to
no,
say there.
I could,
and
I could agree with that. And again, Moral's my guy. I know a lot of these fighters, but the
and I
fact
and I get
is,
that.
yeah, and the fact is, like, I'm a small guy that takes a lot of shots too, but most of the time I can take a shot. Marab has been known to be dropped in fights.
Yeah,
He gets hit really, really clean, and sometimes not even with hard strikes; they're just clean shots because he's also applying force and pressure to that punch or strike because he's walking into it. Um, the hardest thing about the fight is Marab has such good pressure that he's beaten some phenomenal strikers. But a lot
and
of those
that
phenomenal strikers, Petroyan, Jose Aldo, and many more, they like to brawl. They like to fight. And those striking styles are inside where Marab likes to grab you. And that's Marab's style. That's fine. The problem is Sean O'Malley isn't that. And he's also really, really good at the other side of keeping his distance. And he's so long and he keeps his space really, really well. You look at the kid with green hair that he fought. Like that kid was
yeah
tough too.
yeah Chris
Given
Antonio. Yeah,
I'm not at all saying he's as good as Marab, but that pressure, that kid never stops. And also, because of that, Sean never really like he got a little tired, but he was never gassed. Like he's like, all right, cool. I'm still keeping my distance. I'm doing this on the inside, and I'm keeping my
he
distance
does.
very
Yeah,
well, and throwing my shots. You look at Aljo. Aljo is a pressure fighter. He needs to grapple, and he couldn't get on the inside. And I don't believe Rob has as good as grappling as Aljo when it comes to the technical side of it. But if he can make it a dirty fight, if he can make it a sloppy one, like
yeah.
dude, not just moving your head, but like muff those punches, put your hand up, do something. The only problem is it's MMA. And no matter what you do with your hands, like there's elbows, there's knees, all that stuff, but you also have to first get past that jab. And I think Sean O'Malley's jab is going to be the biggest like thing in that fight that's going to open up his power hand.
Yeah, and I think though, because I was talking to some people are kind of not. I wouldn't consider them casuals, but like they know who Sean O'Malley is, and they kind of know who Marab is just based off of some of his fights, and they're all like, well, Marab is gonna. Well, you see, he pressures and he's a workhorse, and he's gonna grind O'Malley down. It's like, yeah, but like and very well he could. I'm not saying like I don't have a time machine here. Like I didn't travel to the Saturday. I don't know. But that being said, I definitely it's in the realm of possibilities. I just based off the style and whatnot. This is like another one where a lot of people doubted O'Malley with Cheeto Vera. Like, I mean, he beat the fucking shit out of Cheeto Vera. I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen Cheeto Vera get that his ass beat like that, and it was kind of scary to see someone like get beat up so bad, and like he was taking those knees, and I think like I mean Cheeto Vera is tough, but even I think who did I don't know who he just fought. Jesus,
Cheeto?
yeah, Cheeto. He just fought somebody,
Who did
and
Cheeto fight last, Mike? Figueredo.
yeah, Figueredo,
Figueredo.
and Figueredo is very
Thank
good,
you.
and he's looked really good since he stopped cutting all that weight to flyweight. But even Figueredo, I think had him dropped, and I don't think anybody's ever dropped Cheeto Vera. So you're starting to see where that's great that you're tough, but the more of those fights where you're taking a lot of those big shots, I mean, it can wear down your chin big time. So
Hmm.
like that's just a side note, but yeah, like with the with O'Malley. Like a lot of people counted him out in that fight, and he looked phenomenal. He
Mhm.
like it was a badass performance, and it was flawless. Other than when he ate that shot right at the end, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, like it was a great performance, and I just and again, I'm not a O'Malley dick rider here. I just like I like Marab as well, but like and I like Marab as well. But I just looking at it and I can kind of just see like how you explained it perfectly. I just think that O'Malley's just gonna clip him. I don't know if it's gonna be a performance like he did with excuse me, not Marab, but with Cheeto Vera. But I definitely see he's gonna stay patient, wait for that opening in those shots. So I think it's gonna be a great card. Whoever said that Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be on that main card, they can can kind of just go away. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So
Well, you have to look at two things. Ronaldo was the only fighter at UFC Mexico to gain 500,000 followers,
exactly,
200,000 of them in
exactly,
one night. Like everyone was popular, and yeah, you had Brian Ortega, Yair, like they're already popular, but you had guys that no one really knew.
yeah,
Still, like, and
and blew up,
Daniel Sahuber is a known fighter, but
and he's up there too.
only gained 2 to 5,000 followers. But he's a great veteran, and obviously now in the UFC, a great veteran, and is deserving in the main card spot. Lazy boy, Lazy boy. On the other hand, sorry, there. He's wearing leopard print speedo. Anyways, Lazy boy. On the other hand, no one knew him. Like he's from a smaller promotion, comes into the big leagues and puts on one of those like dramatic Disney type of performances where like you're losing, you need to come back, and storybook ending, you choke them out the last second, and then you say some
Yeah,
crazy stuff, and people are like, like Lazy's a personality, and you have to look at when it comes to selling tickets business wise. Does he deserve to be on the main card when it comes to as a fighter compared to the rest of the people on the card? Probably not. Especially, and again, it's not putting Ode down, but Ode doesn't really have that resume to be on a main card like UFC Noche. But he's being there on the B side to fight a Mexican fighter that is also, again, extremely popular. Does Lazy
yeah,
deserve record wise to be on the main card? Possibly not compared to the rest of the guys who've been in the UFC a lot
yeah,
longer. But he's so popular that involves so much power. Like, dude, he got a message from Roy Jones Jr. today, wishing him the best of luck for his fight. He doesn't know Roy Jones Jr. He just randomly sent him a video message. Same thing with Canelo. Like, dude, hey man, I wish you nothing but success, and I hope one
yeah,
day you're not just like me, you're better. It's like, oh
yeah,
damn, that's awesome. So
yeah,
he has so much pull, and he never expected it. So Lazy, especially for UFC Noche and Mexican Independence Day, he has that Mexican story that everyone wants.
hmm,
On such a big night for UFC Noche, to me, that's Lazy's night. Every other fighter on that card, at least in the main card, that are Mexican or Latino, whatever. If they win, phenomenal. If they lose, it's another night. Like it is what it is. For Lazy though, if he wins, this continues to change his life. If he
yeah, like
loses, like he's just another average
yeah,
UFC fighter and he has to get back to it. But if he wins, like I personally believe this is his night. And I think UFC Noche is really based on him. And it's not just me being biased. His story is phenomenal. And fighting a non Mexican fighter is going to be, a war. And I hope so.
and just with the crowd, I mean, I can only imagine the crowd's gonna be filled with a lot of Latinos and whether
Yeah.
Mexicans or just Latinos in general. I think it's gonna be a great night for them. I think there's gonna be a lot of tears. I think there's gonna be a lot of emotions flying out, win or lose. Um, and yeah, and I got to see him on your podcast and everything. And it's just, I think for him too, um, and another reason. So I was telling people like when they were kind of trashing the whole idea, why is he on the card? And I think that's what they were trying to get at was him like compared to like names and whatnot. I think that's what people like some of the people that were telling me that's what they were getting at. What I was trying to explain to them is, and kind of you touched upon that was the UFC knows what they're doing, and it's sometimes it's not always about names. Like again, yes, if you want to sell a pay per view, yeah, you want names on there, but sometimes there's a lot of things like who's got more pull, who's got more of the popularity. So like if you looked at UFC 300, they had that the one wrestler on there. I'm sorry, man. I'm bad for names on here. I
You're
apologize.
good.
But Bo Nickel, sorry, when they had Bo Nickel on the main card on UFC 300, a lot of people were upset about that, and it was a little bit disrespectful. It was low key disrespectful considering that Yuri Prohaska should have been opening up that card. But I understand why the UFC did it because of the name, the pull that he has, the popularity, and the rising prospect that he is. I get that. So I think that's kind of what's going on here as well. As much as well as what you touched upon. So I'm in agreement with that.
You look at the just star power, and a lot of people have had this conversation about many people. Sean O'Malley, getting the fight against Petroyan so early, like he didn't deserve that, but he didn't
Yeah,
perform, and you can't say anything about it. But Lazy Boy is what Sean O'Malley is to the typical rowdy American fans. Bo Nickel is, or Lazy Boy is what Bo Nickel is to the grapplers of the United States.
yeah,
Lazy Boy is the comparison to Conor McGregor is to Ireland and the Irish people. Like everyone
yeah,
follows him. Paddy Pimblett in the UK, like everyone follows him. Same thing with Molly McCann and all that. So
yeah,
you look at Volkanovski, all these different guys from their countries, like people flock to them, and they've
yeah.
been able to get those phenomenal fights very very fast and get that spotlight, whether people believe they deserve it or not. Again, the UFC is extremely smart and extremely popular for a reason because they know how to promote. That was one of the
Hmm.
things that I didn't get the opportunity to find the Contender Series, but I also didn't want to. I didn't get the shot to find the Contender Series because I ended up being injured anyway, so I couldn't do it. But you look at Alex Perez was able to get a title shot. You look at Sean O'Malley able to
Yep,
get a title shot.
yep.
You look at who was the guy who just got knocked out by Alex Spira, sadly. The the whole this thing, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He was in the
Oh,
Contender
yeah, yeah,
Series,
yeah. Sorry, sorry.
you
Yeah, I know
know.
who you're talking about. Yeah,
So like all these fighters got promoted off the Contender Series. You look at people on Dana White's looking for a fight. That's the highlight one fighter, and if they win, they blow up. So Lazy Boy is in that opportunity to where he fights at UFC Mexico, a very smart fight for him. UFC's like, okay, we're gonna give this kid a chance. We like him, make 25. We'll do you a favor and we'll promote you, obviously, as much as we can, and then the rest is from there for you. He gets this, phenomenal finish. All the Mexican people, they see the possibility of him growing as much as he is, and they go, wait, he can make this flyweight division very, very exciting right now.
yeah, for sure.
And we're trying to build more in Mexico. Dude, let's highlight this kid. And now he's at UFC Noche on the main card. Like, is it deserving? Yes. Is it deserving for the UFC veterans? Probably no, but they also didn't get to do what he did. Like
Yeah,
again, I'm a hater in a very positive way, where I always say like, "Fuck you, lazy." Like you manifested all of this. Like I'm like, dude, I worked hard, I did this and did that, but it didn't work well for me because it just maybe wasn't my time or it wasn't meant to be for me. But for lazy, he has a story, he has a name, he knows how to
yeah,
speak, he knows how to promote, he knows how to do all these things, and sadly, fighting isn't just fighting anymore. You have to have this full circle. And again, Sean O'Malley and I think, Lazy Boy do that extremely well. And that's why I believe he deserves to be in the main card. Again, I am a little biased, but realistically, he also sells a crap ton of tickets. Today, he leaves Scott Padil's boxing gym for the weight cut, and people are outside with UFC gloves so he can sign.
that's
He's had
awesome. That's awesome.
one fight. Again, I'm hating right now, but one fight in the UFC, and people are doing that because that's how much pull he has. So yeah,
And
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 those guys said they want to buy tickets too. Like they're trying to buy tickets. They're waiting for the prices to go down. So that's I believe because of Lazy Boy.
that's awesome. And when you've seen him do that, what's his like aurora? Like what's his response? Is he like, oh yeah, 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 I'll do it? Or is he like, okay, like I mean, I know he's tired. I know he's in peak week, he's in fight week. But what is it like? Is he very like excited to do it, or is it more
Oh no,
like,
he's super excited, and given
yeah,
like he's tired at times, and it's funny
for sure,
because
no doubt.
when he's tired, he looks at us. He's like, oh damn it. Oh, all right, let's go. And he turns around like, and
Yeah,
if he has to put a mask on sometimes he does that because like I think his and just as a fighter in general that want to get back to the fans,
yeah,
like his fans deserve that. He wouldn't be who he
hmm,
is without his fans. So and he
yeah,
knows that as well. So he's just like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this, but I also can't be a drama queen because maybe I don't deserve this, but I have it. So let me make it go around full circle and have as much fun as I can with this and give the crowd what they want. So let me do so. And dude, at the UFC open workout, at all these different events, like he's easily the life of the party. Like we go and he gets so energized with it. We doing the UFC workout and he's tired from this weight cut, dude. Like it's not fun. And he's like, "Ah, I don't wanna do it, but all right, cool." He walks in, sees all the cameras, and he's like, "Yeah!" And he starts playing music. He's like, "Yeah!" And then out of nowhere, he's throwing spinning heel kicks. He's hitting the bag super hard, and we're just like, dude, where the fuck this energy come from? You know, like, come on, man, you're playing with us. And he's like, sorry, I just saw the fans and I know this is what they want. And that, yeah. And but then right after he's like, dude, I am so tired. Oh my gosh, I gotta go home and sleep, because it's exhausting. So it's not just physically exhausting, but mentally, because you have to pull that energy out. So I
Yeah.
believe he deserves to be on the main card. And him with all the fans, man, he gives back so much. It is phenomenal. I've never seen him deny anyone a picture, an
It's
autograph,
awesome.
a video. Like the videos, like some people charge for like cameos and stuff like that. He's just like, yeah, who Victor? All right, yay, Victor, blah blah. Yeah, like he just says whatever, and he has fun, man. He's the full package, and I believe the UFC knows that.
Yeah, and just to end this off, I mean, I think that UFC Noche is going to be a great night for not just the Mexican fans and the fighters, but just for all fans and everyone watching at home. I know I will be. I know that I am going to be doing a little bit of like virtual work with the BTC 25 card. It's in Oshawa, Ontario, but I obviously cannot go. I could not make the trip, and so it's actually on the same night, and I think they start at 6:30. So I'm gonna try to watch some of it. I'm supposed to get the stream, whatever, and I'm gonna try to do my homework, just for future homework and with the catching up with the fighters and whatnot. So I'm kind of working on that. So hopefully I can do a little bit, and I can kind of like have it set up, kind of do my homework, kind of watch, and then I'm also got the other fights going on, so I have to look back and forth, watching my boys fight but also watching everyone else fight on the screen. So it's gonna be a great night. Shorty, I know we're coming up on time, so I appreciate you taking the time as always. And I know that you're probably just as tired as yourself, just as tired maybe as Ronaldo there. So I again, man, I appreciate the time, man, and it's fun doing this. And this is episode 16. We got 16 candles. I feel like we need Molly Ringwald here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go run after this just because I gotta again. I now apparently I'm cutting down to 25, so I'm like, fuck, I gotta get back to work. But dude, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time and working with me as usual. And it's always a fun experience. And we get to logically talk about these fights. And I think it's a great way for the fans to be able to go, man, these guys are sometimes biased and depending on the person. For me with Lazy Boy, but
Yeah,
they also both have experience. You on the reporter side, me on the real, on the front side, and it's just like there's different points of views, and I
yeah.
also want to hear yours. And obviously, I respect your opinion. So you being able to say all this stuff is dope, and I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a good rest of the night. Rest for both Lazy and I, and eat like a donut too. That'd be great, please. That'd be phenomenal.